their clothes and keeping them warm overnight. Life came down to the basics, she mused, but then she shook her head. She mustn't muse, because it would lead her back to Saul. She opened the cabin's double doors, shoved back the slide hatch, and stepped onto the shelter of the cabin's top step, hearing a wail from Verity. "Hey! Now I'm in a draught!" Polly laughed. "Stop fussing! You're a Waterway girl now, and having a lord for a father cuts no mustard here. So just grin and bear it, like a trooper. You need a change of air anyway. And where's my tea?" She grinned to herself, knowing she could tease her friend about her high-flown roots, but only so long as no boater heard. It had been struggle enough for the girls to be accepted on the canal, or cut, without having a ladyship as a crew member. The sun emerged from between the cloud, just for a moment, as it had at Limehouse Basin yesterday, when the pallets of aluminium were being unloaded from the rusty merchant ships moored at the wharf, to be swung immediately by cranes into the queue of narrowboat holds. Polly wondered now, as she had when they secured their tarpaulins, if the aluminium would be used for fighters or bombers once they delivered it to Tyseley Wharf in Birmingham. Who knew? But it would be something connected with the war effort. Her grin faded. No, not the war, because it reminded her that Saul might be trying. She forced herself to remain in the present, peering behind at the butty and giving another short hoot on the horn. Sylvia replied immediately, this time with a toot, toot, toot. Good. Anyway, Sylvia wasn't the only one with a cold. Polly coughed, her throat sore, her nose running. She wiped it on her sweater sleeve. Her mum would be shocked. Or would she? Probably not. Her mum was used to the state of her by now. Verity tapped Polly's leg, squinting up at her from the depths of the tiny cabin, her blonde hair escaping from her woolen hat. "I've made cocoa instead. I'll bring it up." Before she did, though, Verity called back, "Dog, don't come up. Stay curled on Mistress Polly's bed in the warmth. And, Mistress Polly, this cocoa will put hairs on your chest and clear that cold." Polly sniffed, grimaced, and eased the tiller slightly. "Not sure that I find the thought of hairs on my chest has much to recommend it." Verity laughed, and put 3 steaming mugs on the cabin roof. One was covered with a side plate and wrapped in a mitten. She shook her head at Polly. "You are remiss, my girl. You should have trained that dog to keep the fire going." As she said this, she propped herself up against the cabin, wearing a blanket over her shoulders, held together with the Inland Waterway badge they'd all been awarded after completing their Ministry of War Transport training. It was a training that had enabled them to manage cargo-carrying canal boats and replace the boaters who had gone off to war before the reserved occupation order had come in for 25-year-old boaters and over. It was an age limit that proved discretionary, because the younger men had almost immediately been encompassed by the RO, too, for a while. A decision that had just been reinstated, thank heavens, thought Polly. She watched the wind whip away the steam from the mugs, and wished that her fear could be as easily dispersed. Saul, at 20, a year older than she was, had been denied permission to sign up in 1943. He should therefore have been tied to the cut. But to her horror, he had tried to break through the RO in the new year and sign up for the army, but had hurt his leg in a lockfall, and it was for that reason he had been refused. She looked up now. A starling swirled above the canal, swirling, swirling, just like her mind, because at Limehouse They'd heard that steerer...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.